He's not just the king of fashion, but now the king of Bullet Chess 2025, having won the chess.com tournament, and in what scintillating fashion. We're going to pick up here in the final. He was playing Alexandr Bortnyk, who was tired, having just won 2 games to qualify for this final here, but still, the way Alireza puts him away is unreal. We're diving in on 3 of my favourite mushrooms from this final here, and we're starting right now with Alireza responding to d4 with pawn to c ships. The clock times are on the left, so 1 minute each. They're online on chess.com. It's fast, it's furious. Let's dive right in. We see a side move, but we soon end up in a main line Caro-Kann. You can develop the bishop, but Alireza goes like this. We see takes with check, always captured towards the center, except when you don't, although that one is playable too. Different line. This is how the game proceeded. Both players getting the bishops active. Queen c2 threatens to crash through to the king, so we see check, knight blocking, and how many of us are pushing the pawn 1 square? Not Alireza. He goes hyper aggressive. What a player. h4, let's go baby. Eat daddy over there. Daddy sounds a bit weird. Maybe won't run with that one. Knight f4 comes in, and Alireza so impressed by this battery. He does it himself. g3 defends the knight here one more time, creates the light squared weaknesses, but hey, it's bullet chess. Let's crack on. Queen d1 is sneaky, prepares to spin round, checkmate that monarch, that daddy over there. Okay, we've really got to stop. So the queen develops and it covers the square, but before she can get too comfortable, Bortnyk lashes out. The queen drops back here, and now we see the bounce out. Mate threatened, or not quite mate, but horrible stuff to come. So what do we see? Knight on f8, no mate as they say, and if you munch this pawn, you do actually run into g5. Looks suicidal, but it does work. There's no queen g4. Okay, not played. Instead, Bortnyk whispers, stack my bishop. Now we see queen c7. This is the most powerful move, but king h1 played, bishop e6, and now you should simply take, and win a pawn here. It's a clean pawn. The bishops are good. The e-file is going to be challenged here. White stands a lot better, but missed. We saw this. Alireza doesn't let it happen twice. Bishop takes back. Don't Botez gambit, and it's getting dangerous now for white because this queen is a bit offside here. f3 is best to stop bishop g4. You can't take, or once again you're running into things like knight g6 or g5. But in the game we saw a4. But now this was powerful. The queen's basically running out of squares, right? You don't want to take. Knight g6, very powerful. But missed. Alireza checks. Now king g1. And he slides in for the kill here. Mate in 1 threatened. So f3 forced. Now knight g6. Prepares to mangle the structure. And the game goes wild. This is why I love this one. Because after bishop f5... a brilliancy is unleashed here by Alireza. Now the queen is attacked, and where does it go? Can't come here, of course, gets taken, can't take here, can't retreat back. This queen's supporting the bishop, so what to do there? And if you do this one, which you'd love to do, mangle the structure and counterattack, the problem is you just opened the eyes of the bishop, bang, check, and mate. You can't even step to the e-file in this particular line. So because that's not working, because the queen's in jail, what do you do here? What's the move for black? Very well done if you saw the idea of bishop takes on f3, a counter-attack on the enemy lady. Now if takes and takes, we won't show it because played in the game. But what if queen takes here? You've munched the bishop, the queen's still in jail, but no, it's not. Now you can take. This one's no longer defended. Game goes on. Black stands a bit better. So this was how things proceeded here. We do see them leave the board. Now takes was played. Not the most precise moves, but it's bullet chess. We're not going to linger forever and a day. Now bishop d5. White's with the bishop pair here. Good space gain. But now Alireza gets Bortnyk to crack. Takes is actually best, but not played. This one glides on by, but now takes, pawn takes, and look at that. Alireza's got the runner. Push 'em, baby, as Yasser would say. Knight f8 played, bishop d3. Now the rook hits the c pawn here, and you can technically play c4. There's some back rank problems. The bishop's lined up with the knight. This is why the rook has to actually stay connected here. But missed. Bishop c5. Now knight e6 pressures. Again c4 playable. But we see bishop f5 saying you can't move your knight. It's glued. Your rook is dropping. So what does Alireza play? He only goes and does it anyway. I mean, that is such good tactical awareness, recognizing that when this moves, this jump becomes available, but not played. Sorry, was played. What should have been played is actually takes, because you can't actually take, you get mated. So black would have had to go here. Probably Alireza overlooked that, by the way, but black's actually still well in the game with the running a pawn. Anyway, this was played. Bang! Alireza goes to fork Vegas. This one drops off the board. If king recaptures, pawn's running, bishop just can't get back right. In the game, Bortnyk desperately tries this. Maybe Alireza's going to pre-move or something. Then you get some funkiness with this one running at the same time. But no, he takes with check. Knight drops, pawn runs, and we see resigns. This is just going through, and it's all she wrote. This is the second one I want to take a look at. Alireza kicking off with the king pawn, best by test. We see an Alekhines defense, or Aliekin. I've always said Alekhine, but probably saying it wrong. And I love this way of playing by Alireza here. Very solid, very stable. No bishop g4. Let this knight live. Support the center. This one's always a big problem in the Alekhine, right? Unless you can achieve d5 or something. Anyway, let's crack on. The d pawn's under fire, but look at this. Knight to c3po, completely ignores it, lets the center collapse, but it's a known line. Whack, bang, wallop. This is the idea. You're not going for a kind of Greek gift. You know, there's no knight that's about to hop. But instead you're just taking here, and this one is a bit of a Wiener Schnitzel, very out of the game. Bishop e6 played, pawn b3 defends, and now how about this? Queen f6. Now that is a sorry move. It's like switching from your favourite branded beans to the non-branded essential version. Sure, it's doable, but it's just not a move you want to be making. Now we see the move of queen takes on f6. It mangles the pawn structure, and Alireza just has a very pleasant game here. Spins his knight round, very thematic, headed to blockade the doubled pawn. We see someone getting rook rolled there. Is it going to happen twice? No. Alireza never going to give you up. Yes, he is for the e-file, but he takes control here. Just keep in tension, and honestly, it can't be understated how difficult it is to play a third bullet match in a row, right? We all get tired, we all get that tilt stuff. Can you imagine playing Alireza for your third match in a day here? So no wonder he keeps the pieces on the board. This is the point I'm making. Keep the complications, keep it sharp. He's fresh, give Bortnyk more to think about here. King h7, you could run with this one, nice little squeeze, but knight d5's played. Allows the bishop to chop, rook takes, hits the pawn, king g6, but now look at this. The bishop bounces round, creates a little bit of king cuttage, now f6, very stinky, h4 played, and rook h8, best move to keep an equilibrium. Not found, the knight rotates back, but look at this, just like that, there's one winning move here, you could say, and it's the only winning move.
The only winning move.
It's the only move?
The only winning move.
It's the only move?
The only winning move.
It's the
h5 check, and you have to actually step back with the king. But then of course the pawn drops, you know, white's doing great, outside passer about to be supported, knight's fairly dominated, okay, but not played. Bortnyk takes that. He's a real strong goblet muncher usually, but here it's not working out for him because g4 check. The pawn is pinned, so you can't take, and best move is the horrible king g6. You know, you can't step to a dark square. Problem here, you take, of course, you fork like the tongue of a snake, and that's all she wrote. So he should have played that, but you lose a piece. So he steps up the board to avoid that, but he's walking into a mating net, taken with the rook technically strongest, but pawn takes played and knight g5 really had to be tried. Best move, but this one was done, going for this, but rook d1 drops back and we see he resigns, because in the words of LaRue, he's going in for the kill and there's nothing you can do. Say you do this, that's a mate in one. Love how the bishop, pawn, king are converging to create that barrier there, right? And there was nothing in the previous position. You know, this is top engine line, kamikaze stuff. It's game over. So this is the final position, final game of my enjoyment of this match here. Alireza with white once more. And what I like about this is he runs into Bortnyk's modern, and he actually ends up in a worse position, but watch how he fights and swindles and tricks. He takes the centre here, not quite a 4 pawns, but a 3 pawns attack, let's say. The knight develops, pressuring the e-pawn. Of course, you can always push, but you do give up squares, This is what black's looking for. Not that it's necessarily bad, but you have to time these things. Now we see the knight kicked back. The bishop bounces back. You know, you could have gone a3. Keep an eye on this, but okay. We'll crack on with the game. The knight drops back. Pawn is pinned. What does Bortnyk do? c5. Connect 4 on the board. Only goes and wins himself a signed pair of Alireza Yeezys. There they are. Look at them. Beautiful statement pieces. Kind of says, I'm not from space, but I could be. What do we see in the game here? Castles is played. This bishop hits the Milky Way and Alireza just straight blunders. His e-pawn's under fire twice, defended once, so the knight should rotate and cover. But he plays this very stinky move, not the one. The centre collapses, queen dropping back here, knight simply stepping back, and now here's where the play is going to hopefully come from. f5. Yes, you're losing, but you've got to randomise it. Queen c7, and now the best move is knight f4, looms over the ramparts, but also creates some air for this bishop. However, this was played, allowing the explosive c4. The bishop is in jail. If you come here, you're going to die, right? Either piece. So we see takes here. Don't yet win the bishop. You can do that at your leisure. Don't give this check possibility. So takes is played. Now we get the bishop kamikazing itself, opening the king. What's that? Maybe a couple pawns or something Alireza's got. This knight does jump, and although it attacks the pawn, the bigger threat is actually knight e6, where you'd be hitting queen and unprotected bishop. So this one necessary. Deal with the jump. Knight g5 renews the threat, and so queen c6 gets out of the way of it and threatens a mate should this knight ever move. So queen e2 overprotects the square. This one activates, hits a loose piece, and now love this move. Many of us are just jumping here, right? It's kind of a knee-jerk reaction. Jump in. Actually, maybe that loses, I've just realised, because the queen's overloaded, and there you get bamboozled. Okay, so this is why I would have lost the game on the spot. But what do we see Alireza do here? d5. Excellent randomising move. Now, takes is technically best, but in just one move, you've blocked the queen's diagonal, you've opened the bishop here, you've opened the f file. Okay, it's still fine for black. Black is winning with the precise steps and stuff. This kind of thing, rook a5 is a possibility, but it's not obvious. Great randomizer. So the queen just moves out the way. Bortnyk doesn't want it. Now we see the jump. Knight takes, massive fork threatened. First we see this little Zwischenzug, intermezzo, whispered by Bortnyk, takes back with the queen, king d7, and now rook e1. Alireza going for some tactics. It's getting juicy here, almost as juicy as the old Kramnik drama, kicking off once more. By the way, check out Hikaru's latest video, or Twitter or X. Maybe Gotham will be covering it. I don't know, right? But it's all kicking off again. Queen takes on d5 played, threatens mate, but there are some tricks in the air, and the best one here is knight c5 check, not played, but you open up the queen to crash through. So best is actually king c8, not taking the knight. This is how the line goes. Queen take, whoops, no you don't take, or you get killed. What does it say? Sorry, queen takes, okay. Game goes on, black stands better, but white's got play. but Alireza misses this. He plays knight f4. Don't Botez gambit. Bortnyk spots it, offers the exchange, declined of course. You have to go for weirdness. Now queen c6, the knight crashes through. You're getting through to that king now, and if you go e5, well, the knight's loose. So the rook lifts, covers that pawn. Now what does Alireza do? The last roll of the dice here. You could check, by the way, but he doesn't want to go for that. He plays knight takes on e7. And Bortnyk goes wrong. He captures that piece, but what should he do? Top line is actually taking here. So this is what happens. The queens leave the board, but then you can take here. These ones exit the game, and now black stands a knight ahead. White still got pawns, right? Still got some trickery, quickly active king, but okay, black is a bit better. Let's come back. We didn't see that. We saw takes, rook takes, king takes, and check, and you're just getting killed. Unavoidable. We see a loss on time, because if you step to the back rank anywhere, let's say here, then you get mated one way or another, or let's say you step here actually, check, queen blocks, and I guess you just take and pick up a bishop, fine. So you can't step back anywhere. What if you step up? Well then check, king driven up, and this is the fastest way to mate. You could have also come here, king driven to the d file, and you checkmate with the rook. Pawns doing a nice job of boxing in the king as well. Beautiful stuff by Alireza. What a tricky devil, as Magnus used to say. Hope you enjoyed this one. Alireza took it home, and have a look at the video on screen if you want to see another incredible Magnus Carlsen 2 games entitled Tuesday. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you soon. Cheers.